Most frequently asked question: what kind of thread do you use when you're stitching your slow stitch pieces? I'm going to take you through my top 5 types of thread. Buckle up, we're in for a ride. Hello and welcome back to a kooky corner of YouTube. I'm Tori, or Kooky, answer to both names, so you can call me what you will, within reason. So as I said, one of the biggest questions that gets asked by people about slow stitching or embroidery in general is, what kind of threads do you use? I'm going to take you through my top 5 threads today so that you can see them and then you'll know what I use. I mean, this might be completely different from what someone else uses, but a lot of them are going to be in common. And these are the ones that I personally use to create my pieces. So, without further ado, let's have a look at the first one. Number 1 on my list, embroidery floss. Embroidery floss is the kind of stuff that if you've ever done something called cross stitch, you will know, because they use this as their main kind of thread for cross stitch. It is very versatile. That's what I will say about this kind of thread. 2 main companies that do this are DMC, and there is another one called Anchor. I have got Anchor threads, I just don't have one on this pile to show you, but it's exactly the same except it will have Coats Anchor label on it. They are the top 2, I think, top 2 brands of embroidery floss that are available. So why is it so versatile? Well, I will show you. Let me just grab one out here. So if I'm going to pull a little bit of this out to show you and snip some off, because I will do a demonstration, Barry. Yes, I will. If you know where that's from, leave me a link in the description box. It's probably only the UK people that will get that one. What's a demonstration, Barry? Well, here we go. That is your thread as a whole. You can stitch with that as it is if you want to, if you want a thicker look to your thread. You can separate this down into 6 different strands. So if we look at the end of it here, if you see that there are 6 different separate strands, and you can separate those out into whatever you like. I suggest you only do it 1 at a time. I know it's very tempting, and I do it myself, where I grab 2 and try and pull them out. It just gets tangled. So if you do a 2 like that, that's probably something that you would do as a general stitch, I would say. You can stitch with just one of the strands, makes it a little bit thinner, a little bit more delicate. So depending on what you're doing, you can separate your floss, as it is known as, out into different strands. So you can go up to 6 thicknesses. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and as many as you pull out, that will make your floss thicker up to the thickest point of this particular sewing thread, which is 6 strands altogether. It's really good when you're doing things like satin stitch, because you can get a nice finish on your satin stitch with this. I don't tend to use a lot of satin stitch in my slow stitch work, but in embroidery I do use a fair bit. It comes in a whole host of colours. I mean, there are a lot. So you are not going to be stuck for colourways to work, and you can just see from this little selection here that I've got this is a small selection of the amount of colours that you can get in the embroidery floss. It's probably the easiest embroidery thread that you can get hold of. You'll find it in places like Hobbycraft or Hobby Lobby or wherever you shop for your threads in whichever country you are. But it's one of the things you'll be able to find, and it's easy to get to. I don't sew with commercial like the one strand thread that you get that you could use in your sewing machine. You can do that. I sometimes use it for tacking purposes, but when I'm stitching, I like to use the lovely 100% cotton thread that this gives me. There are other varieties of this as well, and I'm going to show you one now which might be useful to you if you, like me, like the nice bright colours. Now this actually, I think, oh, this is a DMC as well. So this is a DMC threads. They're like this, but I was just checking. Yeah, they're 100% polyester and not cotton. So they're a little bit more slidey, and they're generally used for friendship bracelets, but you can stitch with them. And when I want all my beautiful bright neons, that's what I go for. I go for that. There is another option for bright neons, and I'll show you that in a while. But this is in my 6-stranded floss, and that's a top thread for slow stitching with. The next threads that I would recommend to use are these beautiful cotton pearl threads. You can see on the label there, that one is a DMC thread. Again, you can also get anchor threads. These are both pearl cotton. They are both, I think, the same thickness. I'll just get them out so we can have a look. These do come in their own thickness as well, so you can see the difference between the stranded thread. Let me grab one so that you can see. The stranded thread has 6 different separate threads. This one you do not separate out. This comes as this. So it's probably about the thickness of 2 of these together. So if we get those 2 strands back out again, they're kind of even Stevens. So if you had 2 strands of embroidery floss or the pearl cotton, they both give you a different look. So if you can see that twist in the pearl cotton, that's what keeps all the fibres together. But this you do not separate out, you stitch with it as it is. So you'll need a thicker, a bigger needle eye, should I say, for that to go through. This one feels a lot skinnier, but once it's stitched down, it's about the same. So again, with these, you can get thicker and thinner versions of this. I think it goes to a 12. And I think you can get up to like a 3 actually. I've seen a 3, which is quite a thick cotton pearl thread. So there are different thicknesses, but these are the most common ones, the most common sizes, which is number 8. So you have DMC, you have anchor, and you can also get other things that are similar to this, and I'll show you in a moment. I went on AliExpress. Now, I know a lot of people do not like using AliExpress, but I have no problem with it, because if I can get a box of threads like this for £4, when each one of these cost me about £2 to £3, I'm going to try these out. And I did, and I really like them. I'm not sure how colour fast they are, because I've still not done a colour fast test on them, but you can get varieties of boxes with different colours in. So that is all as you can get it from AliExpress, and it comes in a little box like this. From what I can tell, the numbers on these apparently match up to the DMC threads as well. I haven't looked at that personally, but somebody said that to me, so I'm just taking that as an advice from someone who has looked it up and compared, but I haven't done it myself. So these are a lot cheaper. You do only get, I think it's 5 grams on these. I'm not sure. It should say on the box somewhere. Yeah, 5 grams on these, and usually 10 grams on your DMC or your anchor. But it's still a really, really good price to get a whole selection of colours in a box. This is one colourway kind of exemplified in a box, but you can get mixed ones as well, and that's on AliExpress. But pearl thread, lovely to use. Another pearl thread that I really love, and I'm just going to grab it now, it's again on the little more expensive side, but it is this. and it is wonderful pearl cotton. It's number 8 again, so same width, same size as these. These are pearl cottons. You get 5 grams in a row, but you get really good variegated threads. You can get variegated threads in these as well, but these variegate more often, so you get more of a variety of colour when you're stitching for a short amount of time, if you get what I mean. But I love those. They are a little splurge, like quite a bit more expensive than the other ones, but they are lovely and they are pure cotton, and I just love them, so I use those quite a lot in my work too. But that's number 2. Number 2, pearl cotton. The next threads that I use a lot in my slow stitching are crewel threads, which are made from wool, so they're a woolly thread rather than a cotton thread, and it's what you tend to use for crewel work or tapestry, or things like that. So this is a wool, and it is 100% pure wool. This one's an Appleton's one, but there are other brands available, and they come in all different colours, like the cotton threads as well. What I like about these is they give a different texture, so they've got a different texture to them. And let's grab one out. It's quite thin, you can see. So if we compare our pearl cotton thread next to it, it's thicker when it's loose, but once it's pulled tight, it's probably just a little bit thicker than the pearl thread. I've got a lot of neons here, but they do come in ordinary colours as well, lots of different colours, and they also, as I say, do come in this beautiful neon, which I love. You can get independent dyers who also do this kind of thread. These are by a lovely lady called Tracy, who runs a company called What Mustard Made. And yeah, Tracy Mustard. So these are beautiful variegated tapestry or embroidery threads, and they are pure wool as well. So pure wool just gives you a different texture. It's stretchier as well, so if you pull on this, it's kind of stretchier than the cotton threads. So just be careful not to pull it too tight when you stitch with it, but it's a lovely thing to use. You just need a slightly bigger eye on your needle to get those through and to get them working. But that's another top thread of mine that I use quite a lot to add texture and colour. Number 4 of the threads that I like to use when slow stitching are these beautiful ones from Sheepies or Sheepies. I never know how you pronounce that. Somebody correct me in the comments, please. That's how it's spelt, so let's hold it up there. They have brought out some curated colours of these that are in fabulous colourways. So this one is the mint selection, so it's the mint selection. I get these from Wool Warehouse. Other places also will have these, and I think there's about 8 or 10 different sets now. These ran out at some point when they were first introduced. I think everybody grabbed hold of some, but now they've got a whole new range out as well. Now, they also do, or did, this Maxi Sweet Treat, which is the same. It's a mercerized cotton. It is thicker than a pearl cotton, so this is a 10, whereas, well, it says 10, the others say 8, but I think it's a number 10, should I say, which doesn't really equate to the pearl cotton thread. But yeah, these are all beautiful, beautiful colours. Let's see if I can open it up and do a snip of this one. I've not actually gone into this one yet because I have got a lot of these in different colours as well, which are the same kind of thing. So look at all those beautiful greens. They are very yummy. 100% organic mercerized cotton, so they're great for stitching with. And I think some people crochet with them as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it's a really, really fine thread like that. So I'm going to take a bit of this one and show you what it looks like against the pearl cotton thread. snip a bit there. Let me move that because it's reflecting. But sheepies do these, and they do bigger balls of these in all different kinds of colours. Not as many as your sewing threads, but still quite a good range. So they are slightly thicker than the pearl cotton, I would say. But they come in a lovely range of colours. And I think the twist is slightly tighter on them as well. But they do feel slightly different. But definitely a lovely thread to use. And I have got, as I say, quite a few of these. And I've got a couple of boxes of the candy floss, these scenarios here. So I've got quite a few of those, which is great for adding, again, texture and colour, and you can cover a bigger area with these, and you get quite a bit on a ball. So for these balls, I think there is, let's have a little look, 25 grams. I think on the bigger balls of these you can get 50 grams, and so you get quite a bit for your money on those. I'm going to show you these all stitched up as well, so I'm just snipping a bit off each one and show you what they look like when they're stitched in. So that's number 4. That's the Sheepies Candy Floss, and I use those a lot. Candy Floss, Sweet Treat. I don't know if they're changing the names over, which is why these are being phased out maybe. They still do the bigger balls of 50 in all these colours. And the last one of my top 5 is a crochet thread. It's a 3-ply mercerised crochet thread. This one is by Anchor and it's called Fresia or Frekia. And it is a little thicker again. So I'll just snip a little bit of this off. This is a beautiful variegated thread. So I'm going to compare that next to the others there. It is slightly thicker again. And it's a, what did it say, a number? It did give me a number there a minute ago. There's a number on it. Having a look. Can't see it now. Did have a number on it. Oh, there, 12, number 12. So there are 50 grams on those balls. They are a little more expensive, obviously because of the variegation, but you get 50 grams, so there's quite a lot. If you think about on the pearl threads, you only get 10 grams or 5 grams. 50 grams is quite a bit to go at. And I use these a lot for edgings and for blanket stitch and things like that. So that's my number 5 thread. So we've come to the end of all the selections. Now I'm going to get a piece of material and just do a running stitch on this little piece of material to show you the difference between all of the threads. So I've stitched a line with each of the threads so that you can see the difference. You can see the difference especially in the stranded floss. I have separated it out into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 threads so that you can see the different thicknesses that you can get from one thread. So that is particularly, I would say, very versatile and a good one to start with, because you can kind of practice with the different kind of thicknesses and see which ones you like best. Cotton pearl I love to bits because it doesn't, if you can see on that one, it kind of flakes apart a little bit, whereas these stay solid. So that's really a nice solid line that you can depend upon. The crewel wool one is a lot more fluffy, so it gives you a different texture. It's kind of the same thickness, but it looks thicker because of the fluffiness of it. The next one is the Sheepies Candy Floss, which is also the maxi sweet treat size as well. However, I don't know, they must be swapping over marketing of these to try and get some of the slow stitches on board. So the Candy Floss is a nice thick solid line as well, as is the Anchor Frekia, which is variegated. But you can get different variegations of this. There's not too many of them. You can get variegated threads in all of these near enough. I'm not sure about the crewel wool, probably as well. But I know they do a lot of different colours in all of those there. The Candy Floss Still quite a good amount of colours, but less of them, and even less still in the freck. So there you have it. Those are my top 5 threads. Now, the other question that people ask me is what kind of needle you use. Well, it's kind of how long is a piece of string, but I will try and show you some of the needles that I use so that you can also have an idea of what to look for when you're trying to figure out what it is that you need to do your slow stitching. So the needles that I use. The first one is a sashiko needle, which is used for sashiko thread sewing, specifically because it's got a nice long body on it, and it's also got a nice big head on it. That's the one that I've been using to sew with. They come in different lengths. You can get different lengths of them, but as you can see there, you can get a really long one if you want to gather a lot. If you're doing sashiko, then it's excellent for that because you can gather a lot, do a lot of stitches on the one needle before you pull it through. So sashiko needles are good because they've got a nice big head on the top that you can get your thread through quite easily. These are Clover Gold Eye chenille needles in a size number 24. They're quite a nice size as well for your threads because also they've got a nice big head on them. Nice short needles, these ones as well, because sometimes you don't want the long ones. It is all a matter of choice, to be honest, and what you're using to thread into them. I've also got a selection of these Gold Eye embroidery needles, which are sizes number 3 to 9, which have also got a decent sized head on them to get your threads through. Another one that I have used and still use because I quite like them, they've got a little coloured head on each one so you can differentiate between the sizes. And these are a set of pony needles, and these are chenille needles like these ones here, but all in the different sizes. So you get 26, 24, 22 and 20, and you get a few in each one. It's kind of repeated. Obviously the 20s are the bigger, the 26s are smaller. So the higher up the number, the smaller the needle and the eye. These are great because, let me grab one out of my little... See, the head and the body are kind of very similar. So the body goes through the material and leaves you the room for the head with the thicker threads on. So this is really great for like thicker threads or ribbons to get those through as well. So there you go. Those are my top tips for the needles as well. So you've got a little Brucey bonus going on there as well. That's another British-ism. If you know what that is, you know where to go. Go to the comments below if you know what a Brucey bonus is. Anyway, that's enough from me for today. I hope you've enjoyed this little look at threads and needles that I personally use in my own work. I'm sure you get 100 different answers from 100 different embroiderers to what their favourites were. I just know that these work for me and I love them. So I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, don't forget to show me your thumbs, give me a like, and if you are feeling so inclined, it would be lovely to have you subscribe and also pop along to the Facebook group and join us there where we share all our makings and doings. Very busy at the minute because we've got Abstractory on, which is an art challenge, and also with our monthly sew along postcard. It's a busy place to be and lots of things to see. Anyway, hope to see you there, but I will definitely be back here soon with something else. Bye for now.